Warning! The following podcast may contain language and subject matter not suitable for all ages or everyone. If you don't like what you're listening to, please press stop. In this episode of the Changwoner Podcast.
If you're gonna do it though, I wouldn't go on the weekend because I've been living here for almost 10 years now, and everyone tells me don't go on the weekend. You gotta go during the week, late at night. That's the way you gotta do it, you know. And that's the only time I've done it.
And one of the things that the JinHae that they had at the JinHae Blossom Festival, and it's becoming more common at other things here in Korea, are fireworks.
It's the first food I've ever eaten in Korea, and it's the JiGae.
Oh,
it's an army-based stew.
Yeah, so. I love that one too. See, you love it, man.
So
we should have done this together.
Yeah, JiGae. We call these right now. Daejang.
Oh yeah,
it's
hangover soup.
Yeah, it's literally hangover soup, and it's typically made with ox bone, and it's a soup to chase your hangover.
You're tuned in to the Changwoner, the podcast coming to you from Changwon City, South Korea, with your hosts Scott, Adam, and Phil.
It's the Changwoner Podcast, a podcast that brings to you some of the people living and working right here in South Korea and in Changwon City in particular. Once again, I'm Scott, one of the hosts on the show. Sitting across from me is Mr. Phil. Phil, how's it going?
I'm here.
And sitting beside him this week is Adam. Adam, how's things?
I'm very well, thank you.
And this week, because this coming weekend, actually, just the JinHae Cherry Blossom Festival. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things you could expect, what to look for, what to watch out for if you're planning on stopping by JinHae to see the festival. And today we're going to have Phil do his fill it up and talk about some soups or stews, also known as JiGae, right?
JiGae.
So he'll be talking about that a little later. So yeah, this weekend is the JinHae Blossom Festival, or it started when? April 1st?
April 1st, that's correct.
And it goes for a week?
I believe it's the 1st through the 10th.
Okay, so like 2 weekends.
Yes.
Plus the weekdays. And I've been to a couple of them. Only went to there once where I actually kind of enjoyed it. It might have had to do with alcohol being involved. I'm not sure though. But I lived in JinHae. I never bothered going down when I lived there. I know the past couple of years they've had some rainy days, which kind of
puts the damp on it.
Puts the damp on it, yeah. But it looks like that's probably common every year, right?
Yeah, usually.
This time of year we get a bit of rain here, so.
Especially the wind will knock all of the cherry blossoms as they're coming down.
I've never been a huge fan of looking at cherry trees, to be honest.
I mean, they are quite lovely, especially at night. Most people will come in during the day, but I recommend going at night because you get lovely pictures of the white in contrast with the darkness, and it's.
I would recommend going during the week because on the weekend there's too much traffic.
Yeah, but I don't know. I would just go the week before, the week after the actual. But avoid the traffic. Again, I don't see the big draw with looking at trees. But that's just me, you know what I mean?
Well, they're very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I guess it depends where you come from, though, right?
And you can tell it's Cherry Blossom Festival because everyone will change their profile pictures to them standing next to flowered blossoms.
Do you think it's a matter of just kind of like living in Korea? It's a bit of a concrete jungle in terms, not as bad as some places, but I mean, there are mountains and stuff here that you can go to, but is it just with a little bit of beauty, people will flock to it type thing?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, most cities do have cherry blossoms. Like they're pretty prevalent in Changwon, right?
Well, they have them in Washington, D.C. I think Japan sent a bunch of cherry blossom trees to Washington, like way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a cherry blossom festival in Washington, D.C. as far as I know. If you're going to do it, though, I wouldn't go on the weekend because I've been living here for almost 10 years now. And everyone tells me don't go on the weekend. You got to go during the week, late at night. Mm-hmm. That's the way you got to do it, you know. And that's the only time I've done it. Because I've heard people going on the weekend, they go on a Saturday and they're like, I was sitting on a bus for 8 hours and it was
which can be brutal because people can be a bit selfish and they'll park in non-parking spots and it really slows down the traffic.
But if you go there on a Wednesday evening or a Thursday evening, you know, like you can get in there, just get in there and like get a couple hours in and then get out, you know, like get out as fast as you can because like if you stay late at night, you might get home by like 3 a.m. or something. You know?
It kind of depends how you go too. I mean, if you're say on a motorcycle or scooter, it's usually quite not too bad. Like instead of going through the tunnel from here, just going up over the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go over Anmin Hill, oh,
so that's one way. You can go through Masan. I mean, there's a way into JinHae closer to where I live now, which is usually not as bad. But I don't get the big thing with looking at.
So you're definitely going to be there this week, right?
It is nice though. I really enjoyed it. You know, last time I went.
When's the last time you went?
Last year. I thought it was beautiful.
How many times have you've been here for 10 years? How many times have you gone to the
JinHae one?
Yeah.
Only once. I've been to the Changwon one. There's another one in Changwon that's like somewhere, but like it's quite nice as well. But it also gets really congested. It's really hard.
I've been to quite a few, not too many. I think I've been to one or two, like on my own, freely type thing. But you know, working in certain schools over the years, there's always like a field trip with the school to go to the JinHae, which would be during the week, during the day. And it's just packed with kindergarten kids from every school in the country type thing.
Phil, you must have a shitty time trying to get out of there.
I am literally in the middle, like ground zero of the cherry blossom. My house is next to the Bukwan Rotary, which is one of the massive areas. So in between my house and my job, you know, it's madness. It's unavoidable.
Oh, I couldn't imagine that.
I probably won't see you guys for a week or two until it's over.
But again, for me, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of where I lived in Canada, you know, throughout my life when I was in Canada, like Newfoundland, there's days you can wake up and look out, you know, I could look out my grandparents' window, which is just looking over the ocean and, you know, see icebergs and stuff like that. Or, you know, some places you can just watch whales. And then when I was older, I kind of grew up. I had a house in Niagara Falls, pretty close to the falls. Like you can, it's on the upper, I know.
You were in St. Catharines for a while, right?
No. I always lived in Niagara Falls, which is 20 minutes or maybe even less. But, you know, from our house, you could see like the mist from the falls actually coming up.
Kind of just like desensitizes you from the experience of seeing it every day.
And one of the things that that they have at the JinHae Blossom Festival, and it's becoming more common at other things here in Korea, are fireworks. And I've never been impressed with the fireworks here at all.
I have.
And I'm not saying I'm an expert on them. I don't go out to every fireworks event in Korea. But the one that I did see at the Cherry Blossom Festival, I wasn't impressed with. But I also don't like fireworks because every Friday night in Niagara Falls, they would shoot fireworks over the falls for tourists. And it was like, you know, millions of dollars every Friday they spent on it. Like huge fireworks. And it annoyed the shit out of me. Because that's all I would hear at 10 p.m. at night. And I just don't care for fireworks anymore.
I've seen some really good fireworks in Korea. I'm going to, like, you know, just as a counterpoint, I've seen really good fireworks at Gwangali. I think it's like September or October sometime. They have like a fireworks.
I believe it's October. It was. I believe I was there for Halloween.
Yeah, and I saw really good fireworks there. And then the other fireworks I saw were in Jeonju when they have that lantern festival. The opening night. I think it's in October. And they have
it's near Oktoberfest.
Yeah, and they have fireworks there, and they're terrific. Man. Like
what are you comparing them to, though? Like how many fireworks have you seen in other countries?
I've seen quite a few good fireworks shows. These were magnificent. Like I was actually Yeah, I was taken aback by these. They were really nice.
So I have an interesting story about my first experience with the fireworks at the Cherry Blossom Festival. So like I've said before, my first job was at a hagwon, and we were teaching class, and then my director came in. She's like, "Oh, there's going to be fireworks. We'll all go to the roof, and we'll watch these fireworks from the rooftop." So this was in Seolleongtang, which we've mentioned before.
How many floors is your?
Maybe
5, 6?
5 or 6, possibly 8. So this was the beginning of the Cherry Blossom Festival, which also happened to be April 1st, April Fool's Day. So I thought it'd be a funny prank to play on my family, because it was every year we always have scares about North Korea attacking. So I took a picture of some of the fireworks and sent it to my stepmother, and I wrote to her, "Oh my God, it's happening! They're attacking!" And I didn't respond to her because I kind of forgot about it, and she was freaking out, worried about me, thinking that I'm in the middle of a war.
Your grandma?
No, this is my stepmother. And
do they not know what fireworks look like?
I mean,
no offense or nothing.
She was pretty gullible.
There's a difference between fireworks.
Well, it was a kind of a grainy photo. It just looked like explosions going off,
like the yellow ones or something.
So
would have been. It'd be funny making like a Skype call just before they start.
Yeah.
Or just a phone call, so it's just sound, and you can be talking, and then they start exploding, and you start freaking out, and just hang up. Yeah. Don't talk to them for a month.
Yeah.
But they usually have the fireworks, at the end of the festival?
I think they did to start it, maybe to end it.
I know they've always done it at the end, but maybe they do at the beginning now, too. So just to be clear for people not in Korea, what exactly is the Cherry Blossom Festival? So they have, in this area, even Changwon and Masan and JinHae.
Gyeongju as well.
Gyeongju, there's a lot of cherry trees, which originally came from Japan, right?
Yeah, I think they weren't brought here for peaceful reasons.
Right. But somehow, anyway, they ended up here. So there's cherry trees all over, which blossom in around the first week of April. They're all kind of one color here, too, which is a bit, to me, like I've seen cherry trees with different colors. Mm-hmm. Here, they're usually white or kind of pinkish white. And everybody pretty much in the country here come down to this area for that, at some point during the week, the first week of April.
They make the pilgrimage
to check out these white or pinkish white trees. And it just makes things crowded. Because it's, a little bit overpopulated country, you could say.
Yeah, I have probably more complaints about the Cherry Blossom Festival than most living where I live. Especially there is a stadium a stone's throw away from my apartment. Mm-hmm. And so mostly they just play horrible music on loudspeakers. And it's just awful. Just constantly hearing like boom, 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 boom. You can only hear the bass.
Yeah, you get that. We used to get that a lot, especially like 10 years ago. You always had, early in the morning, the people that go around with the PA thing. Yeah. Whatever, they're selling eggs.
Oh, yeah, selling bananas and shit.
Yeah, just loud or, looking for. Yeah, every morning you'd hear stuff like that.
Yeah, that's funny. I haven't heard that recently.
Not as common. No.
I think maybe they took them aside and like, hey, like, shut the fuck up.
Y'all real annoying, Yeah.
But, businesses always, especially when they first open, always have the loud music playing. Like, you can't do that back home. You can't just throw speakers in front of your business.
The worst is those guys on the motorcycles that throw the business cards. It's just littering.
No, man. The worst are the guys on the motorcycle who are spraying like fumigation things.
Yeah, that's like the
pesticides. Yeah,
it's not as common now either. It's if you live like near one of those river type things.
I remember like walking up the street and like they would like this guy to hear like and I'm like, oh god.
And kids would chase them,
Yeah, and you just get like a cloud of pesticide in your face, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
It's safe.
So many carcinogens going through my fucking face right now.
But even that doesn't seem as common anymore. I haven't seen that in years. It might just be because where I live now. Like I used to live on.
Yeah, it's not as common now, but like 5 years ago, it was everywhere. I would say 5 years, right? 5 years. 6 years.
Again, maybe it depends where you live.
Yeah.
When I lived on the base of a mountain, near a river and vegetation.
You ever see that shit, Little Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe once a month they'll do it early in the morning.
You see it once a month.
At least.
Because I haven't seen it in a couple years now. And like Scott says, I think it's falling out of fashion kind of thing,
They should do it during the Cherry Blossom Festival.
No.
Everybody's looking at the trees and just have one of those guys on a scooter drive down the middle of it with the pesticide shooting out the back. Watch the leaves fall off the tree.
Yeah. Get them while they're good.
So, what can we take away from this JinHae festival? The advice I can give, go during the week. Don't go during the weekend because you're going to be screwed. You're not going to like it. You're going to be like, this took forever to get here and it's going to take forever to get out.
But not everybody.
And it is beautiful, right?
People living not in the immediate area, though, probably can only come down on weekends. Hence,
that's true.
Hence the
in that case,
over busy weekends.
In that case, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like go there, go there early. Expect to be in a shitload of people. Go early in the morning and come back mid-afternoon or so, I guess.
But besides the actual cherry trees themselves, I mean, there's got to be something else going on during this festival. So we mentioned fireworks. We got the cherry blossom festivals. A lot of schools or young kids get taken to the JinHae Navy base, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Where they check them out.
The Korean Navy base is open to the public. I believe the U.S. base is only open maybe a couple days, but the Korean Navy base is open all week.
They usually have what do they call them? Sailors? Guys in the Navy anyway. They're
sailors, man.
There are shows and stuff that they do put on, where they swing around the guns or whatever.
That's usually the Marine Corps color guard that does that.
So they do that,
I actually taught recently Marine drill color guard in an English class, and he tells me that it's one of the most difficult jobs in the military because it's just constant drills, and they have to be perfect form.
Oh, for the Cherry Blossom Festival.
I mean, they do it for other times too. Like anytime there's a celebration or an anniversary, they'll be out there. But those guys work really hard.
Anyway, and there's usually a ship or two that's down there and docked, and some other statues and plaques and historical things that kids can look at.
They have really good. Like tents up for food as well.
Oh man, the street food.
But like. Most of them are pretty good. Good food.
It's the best time to get a Turkish kebab. I usually get 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. Or like a nice. Last time I was there last year, we had just pork. That was like barbecue pork.
Actually, a good pro tip: if you are into street food, if you go late at night, maybe around midnight when the shops are closing, they usually have a lot of like chicken on the stick that they're getting ready to throw away. So you can buy all of it.
There you go.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You can
man. Or you can just watch them, and when they throw it away and you know where it is, you can run and pick it up.
I believe I paid maybe $10 and
when I was there,
a whole bag of like the chicken on the stick.
I was there on a Thursday night, and like there was a huge concert, and it was this like K-pop megastar who I had never heard of, but like. The Korean person I was with was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it's so and so kind of thing," And I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but like it was, everyone was going crazy. It was fun.
So the one time that I went, it was quite a few years ago, where I actually had fun. I went with some Koreans. It might have been maybe on a date too. I'm not sure. I don't remember that. But there was an area that was, all set up. It was all tents. Like, I think it was in a field, but it was all tents. It was all, food, drinks, but they also had a lot of games like basketball, shooting the ball X amount of times in a time frame in the hoops. A lot of games like that, which it just did all night.
Oh, it's so much fun.
More of it had nothing to do with, cherry trees or cherry blossoms. It was just a fun night out.
It is so pretty though. Like a lot of people, they don't realize, like, they're like, why would I go there at night, But when you're in there at night, like they do have lights and everything and it lights up all the trees, and it is really pretty.
Oh, it's a great date night.
Yeah, like you can tell, like people come down from Seoul and from other like northern areas of the country. Like there's a reason why they come down, because it is quite nice. You know, like it is really beautiful. The only shitty thing about it is it's hard to escape, you know, like you want to get out of there, but it's like,
but again, is it because, you know, living in Seoul, there's not much nature beauty that you can check out? Exactly. So it's something different. Well, I guess it depends what you're looking for and where you're living and your opportunity to see certain things. Yeah. I'm not against cherry trees, or I don't hate cherry trees, but
America's got some good shit too, you know, like I went to the Grand Canyon one time when I was a kid. I was like, that was breathtaking. Like that was really nice.
That's literally the only place I actually want to go to is the Grand Canyon. I've never been there.
It's beautiful, man. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, but then you're comparing a pretty big continent, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Between the U.S. and Canada. I mean, Korea land-wise is about the size of Newfoundland.
Korea is,
and there's
I looked this up.
Twice as many people living here than
South
in Canada.
Korea is like the size of Lake Erie.
Yeah, that's
Ontario
is the smallest lake too.
Ontario's got to be the size of fucking France or something, you know? Like
I'm not sure, but
pretty close.
Is that true?
I'm serious, man. Yeah.
Maybe I would think it's bigger.
It might be bigger.
Geography was never one of my strong suits.
Ontario's a big province, man.
Well, I guess Ontario's the biggest.
No, I think Quebec's the biggest.
Quebecois.
Maybe Quebec. There's Quebec, Newfoundland.
It's either Quebec or British Columbia.
Yeah,
one of those two.
I mean, there's still a lot to discover during the Cherry Blossom Festival. You've got a lot of different places you can go to. There's a railroad where there's just covered with all the cherry blossoms. Yeah. The Romance Bridge. They've
How do you get to the Romance Bridge?
That's that's difficult for me to say. So everything is
Korean girl to take you there.
Yeah, pretty much. It's near the U.S. Navy base. What you'd want to do is locate the Bukwan Rotary. It's the one with the big Isun Shin statue, and then you'd have to go up towards the U.S. Navy base, and then from there you would make a right down a street, and you will just eventually run into people. Like it's closer to the Onmin Tunnel.
I've actually myself I've spent a couple cherry blossom time frame periods. I've gone to Japan. It's usually Fukuoka, and they have the same deal there. Yeah. All in that area, like the southern part of Japan. But you can see all that. But the difference there, people just camp out in parks, and it's just, you know, people spending the night in the parks, just sitting in their little groups, drinking. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. If anyone needs a free guide, maybe I'll be available all this week if you want to catch it before the festival starts.
I was going to ask, do businesses change their business hours in terms of like restaurants? I mean, bars and
maybe
stuff.
Maybe they jack up the prices a little bit.
Yeah, not necessarily the prices, but are they open later?
They usually
open earlier.
They will, like you said, jack up the prices because like this is their gold moment. You know? This is like their time of year where they can just cash in.
So maybe open earlier, close later.
Definitely.
Yeah. So they're like restaurants and stuff in the area. What's the most common area in JinHae?
I would say that Seolleongtang is your best bet for a good restaurant. There's a lot of like hole in the wall places towards my house.
Yeah.
And in Domandong.
But as far as cherry blossom goes, people usually don't make their way out towards Seolleongtang, all right? That's a little further out.
Right.
So it could be quieter out there too. But imagine, is the traffic always bad both ways? I know when I lived there, I lived near Seolleongtang, and the times I wanted to go to Changwon, going down that main road, you know, towards McDonald's to Onmin Tunnel.
Yeah. Maybe 2 years ago.
It would take hours. You know, you could walk it faster than...
So 2 years ago, somebody actually parked and blocked all the buses. So the bus system was essentially shut down until this person had to move their car. So that put a strain on the taxi company. So all the taxis were booked. I remember being in the rain, stuck at a bus stop for hours, just with a bunch of people like we were refugees, and it was miserable. But recently, they've instituted a new rule where only people who have
stickers, right?
Yeah, you get a sticker because you live or work in JinHae, and so you'll be given a sticker to put on your car. That way, you if you're driving from out of town, you'll have to park it in a designated area and get shuttled in and shuttled out. But if you live in JinHae,
different.
Yeah, so it's actually last year was so much better than it's been in years because I would take a bus.
That's a good policy, yeah.
Yeah, I took a bus, maybe a normal 15-minute bus ride, and it was like an hour instead.
I would highly recommend going though, even though we've kind of painted it this picture where it's like it's a nightmare to get in and out, but like it is totally worth it though.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, you know.
If you're here and
Shutterbug.
You can get some really good pictures in, you know, with you and you and your significant other. Like it is nice,
You know.
Yeah, so I highly
So
recommend.
if you haven't been there before and you're in Korea for say your first time or your first year, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, you should go, right? Phil, what do you say? Should they go?
I'd give it 5 shots.
All right.
Definitely go.
All right, there you go. And yeah.
The street food. Oh my God, it's phenomenal.
All right, so speaking about food, we're going to get into what we're going to call Fill It Up with Phil.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And he's going to talk about soups or stews.
Yeah, soup, stews.
I'm sure you'll mention that type thing.
Was it JiGae?
JiGae. JiGae. Yeah, many of you people may or may not know. I love the soups.
I'm very excited for this.
Yeah.
Fill it up with Philip Wayne Stanley.
So the first dish I'll talk about is sundubu jjigae, which is a freshly curdled tofu that hasn't been strained of excess water, so it gives it like a silky texture. And I believe that most of them, not quite sure all, but most of them don't contain meat. So if you're a vegetarian, it's a good option.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Next is doenjang jjigae, which is this guy knows what I'm talking about.
I'm on board so far.
Doenjang is the fermented soybean paste, and I know it doesn't sound very good, but it's really salty and it's got a lot of flavor, like an umami flavor. So it's kind of it's typically served with if you're having barbecue, Korean barbecue, you can get it on the side, and it's just a good palate cleanser. Oh my God!
Let's hear number 3.
Number 3 is the first food I've ever eaten in Korea, and it's the bude jjigae.
Oh,
it's an army-based stew.
Yeah, I love that one too.
See, you love it,
man.
So
we should have done this together.
Yeah, bude jjigae. It originated in Ujeongbu, which is where my family is living currently. My uncle and his family. So it was after the war, the Korean War. Food was scarce, so the U.S. bases gave the surplus food like hot dogs, Spam, ham, and the Korean people made it into their own dish. Like it's pretty much, scraps, but they add, beans and kimchi, and they throw in some ramen noodles.
Poor man's stew.
Right. It's everything. And I remember watching it being made, and it looked horrible, but it tastes so good. It's probably one of my favorite dishes. The next one we have is the classic kimchi jjigae. So I make this once a week for myself, and it's basically kimchi, onions, tofu, pork, or sometimes seafood. And the kimchi they use is more of an older fermented or ripe.
May I interrupt you for a second?
Go ahead.
What do you use as a broth for that?
So that's actually a really good question. You get these little dried anchovies, and you boil them in there, and then you remove them, and then you can also add a bit of they have specific seaweed for boiling a soup in. Yeah, that's an excellent question.
Go on.
And then I like to add some gochujang, which is a really spicy paste.
Yeah.
Some garlic, crushed garlic, soy sauce, of course, and it's called spicy oyster sauce. Yeah, and it's just everything just melts together.
Oh, that's great.
And you just let it cook. You let it cook for maybe an hour, and it just steams. And the stronger the flavor, and you get higher amounts of good bacteria.
All right, I got a boner for number 5. What's number 5?
Actually, I could probably use one of these right now. Haejanguk.
Oh yeah,
it's
hangover soup.
Yeah, it's literally hangover soup, and it's typically made with ox bone, and it's a soup to chase your hangover. There's nothing more visceral than looking at a bone, a huge bone, and then just digging into it. Oh man. But yeah, the best Korean restaurants are the ones that, so there's a place near my house. I can't remember the name, but it's just one of these hole in the walls that you would never see. And they have all of these different soups, and you get all kinds of, what they call banchan, which is side dishes.
Yeah.
And all this whole huge meal, I'll send you the picture. You can add it on the link. This whole meal is only $5. So another good pro tip is if you're new to an area and you're looking for a good restaurant, look to where the taxi drivers are eating, because the taxi drivers know the whole city and they know the best places to eat and the best prices. So that's kind of how I found this place. Is I just noticed that taxi drivers would frequently go to this restaurant, and it's always packed, and it's delicious. And yeah,
I want to ask you, Scott, because you've been here for donkey's years. What would you
donkey's years?
What would you say is your best stew or soup?
To be honest, I don't eat any stews or any soups.
Oh my God, you're missing out.
No.
Because I would say
there's reasons why. I mean, I don't dislike them. One, I can't eat seafood.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
I mean, I know how to say, I don't want this in it. I don't want this in it. But sometimes
I would say,
like,
and I want to bring you guys to this place. It's not seafood related. I know this place near my apartment. It's called it's like sundae gukbap. Mm-hmm. So it's like blood sausage, but in a stew, and it's right near my house. Mm-hmm. And it would be an honor for me if you guys would come and join me, because
I don't think I've ever had that.
It's really good, man. The first time I tried it, I was kind of like, ugh. Yeah. But like second time, I was like, that's all right.
Remember when we talked about
Third time, I was like, I love this shit.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that
I've got to go there 3 times.
But it's one of those,
I start liking it.
But it's one of those things. It grows on you. It grows on you. Like the first time, you're just kind of like, ugh. The second time,
what was the big thing that you should bring to Korea? Do you remember?
Open mind.
Yeah.
Deodorant. Yeah, an open mind.
No, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot of soups and stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of good soups here, man.
I'm not a fan of stews or soups, to be honest.
There's some soup,
even back home,
there's some other soup that I could tell you about, like that really, like I first time I tried it, I was like, oh my God, it's disgusting. But like after the third or fourth time, I was like, I love it. It's great.
So the best thing for me is the bowls that they give them in, and I don't know what they're called, but there's these huge black bowls, and it just they cook it in there. Oh man, and it's just lovely.
So JiGae actually means stew, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to soup. Soup is
gook. Yeah. But it's typically boiling hot, and as a man who has a tattoo of JiGae on them, I can't say enough about it.
See, I've never been a fan of soups or stews, even back home, but here it's mostly because I'm unsure about seafood.
Right.
Like you're saying, making broth with minnows, and some oyster sauce and stuff like that, and just to me, seaweed sounds awful.
But
I'm sure it might taste great.
Yeah.
And then I don't mind spicy stuff, but I hate liquid spicy stuff.
Yeah.
So like the red liquid spicy food, which a lot of them have that.
Yeah, but I think you'd be fine with Haejanguk. It's not spicy at all. Doenjang JiGae also is not spicy. Yeah. You don't like it though, do you?
It's fine. It depends. I really love salty stuff.
Oh man, yeah.
So a lot of those I probably would like if I could eat them, but
there's some restaurants that you can get a menu set of what they call bosam, which is I don't know. It's steamed pork, which oh man,
Which one is the backbone soup?
Haejanguk. Yeah, I mean
I've had that too.
It's hangover stew, so anything hangovery, like it's gonna be good.
Yeah, so I don't eat too many soups and jigaes or stews myself. Adam, what are some of the ones that you're into or tried and like? It sounded like you tried all the ones on Phil's list.
I can't. It would be a disservice for me not to mention Gamjatang.
Gamjatang.
It's where you go to a place and there's a big pork spine and gamja in Korean means potato.
Potato.
I mean potato. And
don't take away my potatoes.
Don't take my potatoes. Yeah. But there's only a few potatoes in there. Like it's actually like it's mainly like this pork spine, and if you let it boil enough, it literally falls off the bone.
So that's more a soup, right, than the jjigae?
I would say it would be more like a stew.
I've definitely had that. I'm more fan of a broth sometimes. Like I mentioned, the salty broth of that soup.
Like a miso soup.
So what's the difference between that one and the one that you mentioned? The backbone?
They're pretty much the same thing. One and the same. Usually if you get haejanguk, it's like a single dish, whereas as Adam was saying, you get a huge bowl. So with gamjatang, you can't exactly order that by yourself. You need at least one or two other people.
Okay.
But I don't know. I love just digging into it.
The one thing I love about gamjatang is like I said, like it falls off the bone, and it's just like it's one of those dishes where it's like so tender that you're like, oh.
I imagine most meat would, though, if you let it stew.
Yeah.
In a broth or a water of some kind would get, maybe fall off. There must be some like rib type soups and stuff like that.
Yeah, gamjatang's like that as well. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to know, I haven't seen, they don't have chicken soup like they do, say, back in the States.
They do have samgyetang.
Right. But I mean, like typical, like Campbell's chicken soup or something, stuff you'd get if you have a cold or something when you're back home.
But yeah.
And why that wouldn't be popular here. But I do like chicken soup, say, back home. So what would be some soups or jigaes that have chicken in them?
Samgyetang is typically it's a seasonal dish. You can get it all year round, but it marks the first day of summer. Everyone has
Samgyetang. It's beautiful, man.
It's pretty much a whole chicken stuffed with ginger and rice in a soup.
Ginseng?
Yeah. I think you might be right.
It's got ginseng and rice in there. Yeah,
and it's more of a healthier kind of soup. I believe it's seafood free, so you'd be fine having one of those.
Have you guys ever tried it's like blood sausage stew?
I haven't.
We call it sundae-gukbap.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those things I think I've mentioned before, like some of these stews and soups I hated when I first came here, but like
you kept an open mind.
It's one of those things where, it grows on you. Sundae-gukbap is one of those things where it grows on you, and the first time you might be like, ugh. Second time you're going to be like, I want to eat this for the rest of my life, And that's what sundae-gukbap is for me.
If you were forced to eat only one soup for the rest of your life, which soup would you?
I'd probably pick, you mean Korean soups?
Yes.
I'd probably pick that, the chicken one with the...
Samgyetang?
Yeah, samgyetang, yeah.
Not a bad choice.
Because that one's gorgeous. I mean, there's no time when I sit down and I eat samgyetang and be like, this is not a good meal. Because it's always amazing. I want to eat it right now.
Most restaurants, there's a place called Gimbap Changguk, and they're everywhere in Korea. And
Gimbap heaven.
Yeah, it is. It has any kind of food you would ever want.
Yeah.
And
those places are the shit. Yeah.
That's my favorite fast food, Korean fast food type restaurant is Gimbap Changguk.
What do you normally get there?
Mulmandu, like dumplings, or
I usually get
it varies, but not as much as most people.
Chamchi gimbap. Yeah, tuna gimbap.
I like the Jayuk gimbap, which is this like it's a spicy.
With the green peppers. Yeah. Those are good, man.
See, I can't eat kimbap either, so because of the seaweed and.
So you're allergic to seaweed?
Not as bad, but yeah. Just stay away from things out of the ocean, basically.
Do you ever go to the beach and swim? Like, can you get in the water?
Oh, yeah.
Phil, have you ever been to Japan?
Yeah. I went to Fukuoka for a visa run.
Did you ever have the fatty tuna?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man. Next time you go to Japan, you got to do that.
Fatty tuna.
Oh, yeah.
Put that on the bucket list. That and the Grand Canyon.
That stuff is like, when you try sushi, a lot of people think sushi is good when it's like salmon or shrimp. Mm-hmm. But if you have like the fatty tuna,
like it's in a roll, or is it just like
oh, you can have it like sashimi style or in a roll or whatever.
What do you recommend?
Well, it's called churotoro, which means like fatty tuna. Mm-hmm. And when you eat that, honestly, like it melts in your mouth. It melts in your mouth.
That sounds like a pleasurable experience.
Yeah, churotoro.
All right, so that's Stews and Soups with Phil, which is known as JiGae here in Korea, for those interested and wondering what kind of soups and stews they can get here. And that's going to be it for this week. I just want to remind people that we are going to be doing an episode in the near future where we're going to answer questions from, listeners and stuff. So if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to ask about Korea or ask any of us personally, they can email us at podcast@changwoner.com. Once again, I'm Scott. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can pretty much anything Changwoner or Scott@changwoner.com. Phil, how can people get in touch with you?
Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and
other places.
Yeah, other places. Find me at the
underwear.
Find me at the Cherry Blossom Festival. If you're there, say hi.
All right, and Adam, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm at Adam Kent at Changwoner, and
it's just Adam.
Just leave a comment. Rate us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars, and even if you give us 1 star, I don't care. Just give us some feedback, because that's what we need. That's what we want.
We're here for you.
Right? I love you all.
All right, so that's the Changwoner for this week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Changwoner Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode.